Chico comes from is actually my nickname growing up. And so my dad, Dwayne Miller, rest in power, him and my grandmother, Annette Miller, they gave me that nickname. And so, again, I grew up in Chatham, so right on 91st and St. Lawrence, right across the street from Thule Park. So folks that I went to high school with, elementary school with, they know me as that nickname. But also that name carries a lot of other just like definitions throughout the Chatham community. So for myself, when I was even thinking about putting together a project that uplifted Chatham, it just made sense to use that name because I know for me it means a lot and it just takes me on a very nostalgic trip. So
yeah, I mean the name in and of itself gets people thinking, but what do you want people to see in the campaign? What can they expect?
So to be really transparent, black and brown stories are now more important than they ever have been. And I feel like the year that 2025 put Chicago in was a very interesting one. And I feel like the start of 2026 needs to be us being very focused on uplifting the stories and uplifting the history, you know what I mean? And so if you know anything about Chatham, it's about Chicago State, it's about being from Chicago because we're the Mecca of creation, you know what I mean? And when I even say that, you can really pinpoint the biggest and greatest things that have happened in the world to Chicago, you know what I mean?
I think that's fantastic. A fantastic way to look at it. I love Mecca of creation.
Shout out Michael Anthony.
Yes.
He put me onto that one.
So, you know, when we say campaign, when we use that word, typically you're talking about a season. How long can people expect this? When can they start to see it? And how long can they experience this?
So I'm very glad you asked that question because Lil Chico from Thule Park is kind of like a multiverse, if you will. So I think in 2023, we did a exhibition. We had folks like Louis Marks, Jazz Star come out on the behalf of Unsocial Aesthetics and a very serious gallery. And the goal was to just uplift Chicago artists and uplift just being a person from the south side of Chicago. So this billboard installation is kind of like the next chapter in that. And again, for folks that are more interested in learning about it, it's a hashtag. So you can actually hashtag Lil Chico from Thule Park. And that actually gives you kind of all of the photos, all of the individuals that have been highlighted, and it's going to be an ongoing series. But right now we're working on the billboard. We have a gallery coming up very soon. We have some merchandise coming out, and the proceeds are going to go to Nita's Love Train. If you ever met Nita's Love Train, she's one of the most genuine organizers you'll ever meet. In 2020, when I got arrested at the protest, she's one of the first organizers that was helping not only support my situation, but she was helping everyone else that was having jail supports while also giving out hygiene needs, you know what I mean? Wow. So these are just one of the people that are on the billboard, you know what I mean? So
and making the good work cyclical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. Thank you for what you're doing to uplift the city and people in the city. And I just wish you the best with what's going on and hope that there's more to come from it.
A live look outside right now as Chicago Bears fans have their eyes on the skies. Could they be getting a snow game this Saturday?
We don't accept a world where ICE terrorizes our neighbors, disappears our community members, and kills innocent witnesses.
Protests happening here and across the country tonight in response to the deadly Minneapolis ICE shooting. Hear their message.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 9.
And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Schneider.
I'm Dawn Hasbrook. ICE agents in Minneapolis killing a 37-year-old woman during an operation, and now local leaders are speaking out about it. It happened earlier today. The woman identified as Renee Nicole Good, a resident of Minneapolis. The Department of Homeland Security says the agent fired defensive shots as the woman attempted to ram officials with her SUV. President Trump says the agents acted in self-defense.
He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family. I encourage the American people at this point in time to pray for him, but also to pray for the deceased's family.
Let's go live now to Leslie Moreno in Little Village, where the community just held a vigil for the Minneapolis woman who was killed. Leslie.
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, that vigil is just about to wrap up here in Little Village. You can actually still hear people talking here behind me. You can see the candles and the flowers as well. There were at least a few hundred people out here just about half an hour ago. Organizers who are speaking right now say this vigil is meant to honor that woman and to call for accountability. Today, the Little Village Community Council, alongside community members and faith leaders, gathered here to denounce the killing of that 37-year-old woman in Minneapolis who was killed during an encounter involving ICE agents. That meeting was also followed by a vigil at 7:30 honoring the life that was lost and the impact enforcements have had on families. Tonight, the community is calling for a full independent investigation into the killing, immediate accountability for all officials responsible, and transparency from DHS and ICE regarding the use of force and operational conduct.
That unity, that fierce, practical, daily love for one another is what makes us unbreakable. An unbreakable community united by people, that is what abolishes ICE. Not just policy change, but a force of humanity so powerful that it cannot be contained by their cages or their bullets. We mourn her tonight. We fight for her every day. We find in each other la unión que hace la fuerza. May she rest in peace. En paz descanse.
Back out here live, I can tell you there is still a lot of fear and uncertainty regarding the administration's next 3 years and the immigration enforcements that could possibly lie ahead. For now, reporting live here in Little Village, Les Moreno, Fox, Chicago.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson also speaking out about the Minneapolis shooting tonight on X. The mayor says the situation is similar to what people experienced in Chicago.
No community deserves to be subjected to the terror that's stemming from this president's use of ICE as his personal militarized force.
The mayor went on to say the president's administration is lying about what happened. He is demanding accountability.
Illinois Representative Robin Kelly taking action in a post on X tonight. She says she will be filing articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The representative claims Noem is violating the Constitution and needs to be held accountable.
Switching now to weather, Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls has our first forecast.
Hey, we have temperatures out there right now that are very, very mild for this time of the year, and that's going to set the tone for the rest of tonight, right on through the next few days. But then going into this upcoming weekend, we actually have snow in the forecast again, just in time for that Bears-Packers game. So your temperatures right now, many of us are sitting in the upper 30s to low 40s, and you'll notice here over the next 12 hours that these numbers aren't really going to change all that much. But then tomorrow morning, we're going to see a really nice rise, and we very easily are going to be warming up into the 50s tomorrow. But it's coming along with rain, possibly some very gusty showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder. And then going into Saturday, we have a really good chance of seeing rain transitioning over to snow. So it could get messy for that game. That forecast is coming up.
Thanks, Emily. We're working to learn more about a crash involving a vehicle and a Lake County cruiser in Gary, Indiana. It happened this evening near the corner of 9th and Ralston Street. As you can see, there's quite a bit of damage to the cruiser and the other car. We've reached out to the sheriff's office and will update this story when more information becomes available.
Just days after the Chicago School Board voted to raise property taxes, a scathing report by the CPS Inspector General finds massive fraud, including $1 million in fines. Chicago Public Schools has agreed to pay the government after admitting to submitting fraudulent grant applications involving student enrollment data. In total, the Inspector General's office received more than 1,200 complaints.
With a district of this size, with a budget of this size, history has shown there's plenty of opportunities for abuse and wrongdoing, and that's why it's important that we work these cases.
The Inspector General's report also found that a special ed teacher with CPS was operating an OnlyFans page that included explicit videos and photographs of herself, some of which were reportedly taken inside her school's bathroom.
The civil trial against Boeing is set to begin here in Chicago on Monday. You may remember Boeing took a plea deal in 2024 to avoid a criminal trial.
There were 2 fatal plane crashes in 2018 and 2019, which resulted in the worldwide grounding of the 737 MAX jet. Fox Chicago's Brett Bagansky shows you why, for one family, this is their one shot at justice.
March 10th, 2019. A Boeing 737 MAX plane in Ethiopia crashes. 157 people were on board. No one survived.
There are families here who are stuck on anger. They'll never, ever get over what happened.
Like Nadia Milron, who spoke outside a federal court in Texas in September.
My daughter died on a new airplane that was defective and that was in operation because they weren't complying with regulations and because of fraud.
Boeing agreed to a $2.5 billion settlement with the Justice Department and another $1.1 billion in fines and compensation for the crash victims' families. Boeing pleaded guilty to defrauding the government for 2 fatal crashes in 2018 and 2019, including the crash in Ethiopia. Milron felt without a criminal trial, there's no accountability for Boeing, which is why some are filing their own lawsuits against Boeing, including the family of U.S. Army Captain Antoine Lewis from Madison, Illinois.
Antoine wanted to retire from the military and live somewhere in Africa. He didn't know where. He was visiting different places to find out where.
The family settled their lawsuit last April, but starting Monday, a new one with a different family.
3 generations of a family were wiped out. We are talking about claims that are multi-million dollars, tens of millions of dollars, even hundreds of millions of dollars.
Robert Clifford is representing Minot Veja, who is suing Boeing in federal court here in Chicago for the deaths of his mother, father, and sister. He also lost his nieces and nephew, one as young as 9 months old, in the plane crash.
Boeing stumbles over itself to say how sorry they are, but they never once will acknowledge what they're sorry about.
Do they feel this civil trial is their only shot at accountability?
Well, certainly for this particular family, the answer is yes.
In a statement to Fox Chicago, Boeing said in part, "We are deeply sorry to all those who lost loved ones on Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. We made an upfront commitment to fully and fairly compensate the families of those who were lost and have accepted legal responsibility for the accidents in these proceedings."
Clifford told me he expects jury selection to start Monday at 8:30 in the morning, and he expects that opening statements could begin as early as Tuesday. We're outside the Dirksen Federal Building. Brett Bagansky, Fox Chicago.
Efforts are now underway to save a historical building in Geneva. The blacksmith shop sits near the corner of East State and North Bennett Street, and it dates back to the 1840s. Some people say the building is an eyesore. Others say it has historical significance to the town.
The purpose of putting this model together was to help people visualize what it looked like then, because now if you go by and look at it for at least the last 7 or 8 years, it's pretty much a ruins in there. In fact, it's getting more decrepit every year because no one's taking care of it, and the weathering is just is not doing good things to it. So we put this model together so people could visualize what the possibilities are, and what we hope will happen is that in the future it can be restored and perhaps made into an economic development and visitor information center.
The building remains as the oldest surviving industrial structure there. This is the 3rd time officials have tried to demolish it. City Council will discuss the shop next Monday.
The Bears continue their preps as they take on the Packers this wild card weekend.
But will they also have to prepare for snow? Plus,
the son of acclaimed director Rob Reiner making his first court appearance in 3 weeks. I'm Ashley Dvorkin in Los Angeles with the latest on the high-profile case coming up.
It's Ashley's New Year's sale. For
Nick Reiner returning to court today for his arraignment, accused of killing his father, Rob Reiner, and wife, Michelle.
Ashley Dvorkin has more on why it didn't quite go as expected.
Nick Reiner returned to court, his head shaved and wearing shackles, but there was no plea entered, and his arraignment has once again been postponed. Nick Reiner, the son of acclaimed director Rob Reiner, returned to court Wednesday, his second court appearance in 3 weeks. The judge approving cameras inside, but no pictures of the defendant. This as the 32-year-old faces charges on 2 counts of first degree in the double murders of his parents, Rob and Michelle. But there was no plea entered for a second time, as Reiner's arraignment was again postponed. His defense attorney, Alan Jackson, telling the judge he is withdrawing from the high-profile case.
Circumstances beyond our control, but more importantly, circumstances beyond Nick's control, have dictated that, sadly, it's made it impossible for us to continue our representation of Nick.
Wednesday's court appearance comes after the shocking deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner, found dead at their Brentwood home. Nick Reiner was arrested hours later and has been held without bail at an LA County jail. According to People magazine, he had been put on suicide watch, but was removed earlier this week and has been held in solitary confinement. Both Jackson and the LA County DA spoke briefly after Wednesday's proceedings.
Pursuant to the laws of this state, pursuant to the law in California, Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder. Print that.
We are fully confident that a jury will convict Nick Reiner beyond a reasonable doubt of the brutal murders of his parents and do so unanimously.
Reiner's next arraignment hearing is now scheduled for February 23rd. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox 32 Chicago.
We've been talking a lot about a snowy Bears game potentially, but before that, we're going to get a sneak peek at spring.
Yeah, we are. So tomorrow we actually have temperatures that are going to be soaring into the 50s, but here's the catch. Of course, there always is one this time of the year, right? So tomorrow we have an incoming storm system that's going to be bringing us rain, maybe even a couple gusty showers or even a thunderstorm, especially south and east of I-57. But temperatures are going to be warming into the mid, maybe even upper 50s for some of us, although that's not going to occur until after sunset. So the warmest portion of the day tomorrow is going to be after the sun goes down. And then jumping ahead to Friday, this high of 55, that's going to be set at midnight, and then we drop into the 40s during the day. And then going into this upcoming weekend, that's when we start to see some more seasonably cool air settling in. We have falling temperatures expected on Saturday. By Sunday, highs are going to be right around 32, which, by the way, is where we should be for this time of the year. So we're going to be very spoiled here tomorrow and then even into the early portion of Friday. Satellite and radar, things are quiet. Futurecast showing that we have those southerly winds continuing tonight, so that's going to keep temperatures very mild. We're looking at lows tonight pretty steady with where we are right now. So a lot of us are going to be in the upper 30s to low 40s. Dry skies in the morning. Then by midday into the afternoon, that's when we start to see this warm front approaching. That's going to bring in some rain. Heavy downpours certainly going to be possible for that afternoon. The evening commute. Cold front's going to come through. And again, that's going to drop temperatures through the day on Friday. So the warmest part of the day on Friday is going to be in the early morning hours when a lot of us, unfortunately, are going to miss it. For tonight, things are looking okay, but jumping ahead to the Bears forecast here, it's going to be chilly. We have rain transitioning over to snow. And then I think by kickoff, shortly after 7 p.m., temps are going to be in the upper 20s, but it's also going to be windy, which is going to have those 20s feeling a little more like the teens. 7-day forecast tomorrow, 56, 55 on Friday. Saturday, again, rain to snow, and then finally we will dry things out by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Here's a quick check of our weather pick of the day. Gorgeous sunset out of Mokina. This was taken by Karen just a few days ago. So a nice sunset to start the year.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thanks, Emily.
I'm Luke Canellis. Bears are the hottest ticket in town, and we'll have a report from Hallis Hall as they get ready for the Packers. But the big sports story today comes from baseball. Cubs made a trade to upgrade their starting rotation, but after giving up their top prospect. Where will the Cubs' next big bat come from? Comes your way next in sports.
Fox 32 News.
Welcome back. Cubs pushing the Bears aside with big news, pulling off a major trade today, picking up an impact arm for their starting rotation and doing so at the expense of their top hitting prospect. Cubs picked up right-hander Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins for Owen Casey and 2 prospects. Cabrera posted a career-best .353 earned run average last season, along with career highs in starts, innings pitched, and strikeouts. He's under team control for the next 3 seasons. That's great news and is a terrific addition to the starting rotation. Casey, he was the Cubs' #1 prospect, played in 12 Major League games last year. Second straight offseason, the Cubs traded away their top prospect. Last year, they sent Cam Smith to Houston as part of the Kyle Tucker deal. Many felt Casey's bat would replace Kyle Tucker in the Cubs lineup. Cubs now need a big bat. Maybe Tucker's not finding the big contract he was looking for, and he comes back. Cubs might also be game planning a way to sign Bo Bichette, Alex Bregman, or bring back Cody Bellinger. Bears on a 2-game skid. Packers are the 3rd team the last 39 years to enter the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak, and the previous 2 teams lost their playoff opener. Good news there, right? Cassie Carlson has today's update from Hallis Hall.
Making it to the playoffs is one thing, but meeting your rival in the wild card round and for the 3rd time in 6 weeks is another, as the Bears are managing their emotions as they get ready to host the Green Bay Packers Saturday night and leaning on veterans with playoff experience.
Everything's just like a little bit bigger, a little bit more media, a little bit more, people talking about it before the game, and then, when the game comes, it's, there's kind of that buzz, on the field, and the stand's a little more full.
Joe Tooney knows a thing or two about postseason success. The left guard has played in 22 playoff games and won 4 Super Bowls, saying the selflessness of the team is a trait that can take them far.
What matters is that we want to win. It doesn't matter how we win, what it looks like. It's just offense, defense, special teams. We're a whole unit going after them, and each game's different, but I think everyone just wants to play for each other.
I think there's been one season that he's been in the league that he hasn't won his division. So it's a guy that's been in multiple successful organizations that knows what winning looks like.
For the players who haven't been to the playoffs, the feeling of the week is entirely new and one they're trying to manage.
You could tell guys are laser focused, talking, communicating, being detailed, and in practice, the energy's going up.
Mentally, I know we're ready. I don't know physically it's something that we're going to have to see on Sunday. It's one thing to talk about it, but we got to go out there and execute and be about it. So that's all we're focused on right now.
Meeting Green Bay for a 3rd time adds another level. Defensively, knowing they can't give up explosives against Jordan Love. Dennis Allen saying the plan is to have Kyler Gordon be part of their game plan as he works back off IR.
You want as many high-level players that you can get. We know he is one of those guys. So for us, if that's something that he can do, we'll definitely be looking forward to getting him back.
That's Spider-Man. He could, it is. He could blitz, he could do whatever, he could cover. And we got a lot of energy and passion, especially when me and him was on the field. It's dangerous.
He can help us make some plays and help us win.
Roma Dunze says he plans on playing Saturday night after missing 5 games. Jade Walker did not practice with an illness, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson remains in concussion protocol. At Hallis Hall, Cassie Carlson, Fox Chicago Sports.
All right, thanks, Cassie. Fox Chicago's your spot for the Bears and Packers Saturday. Coverage kicks off with Bears Game Day Live early, 12:30. NFL doubleheader begins at 3:30. Rams and Panthers first. Then the kickoff of the Bears and Packers game at 7:10. After the game, we will have Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and plenty of locker room reaction.
All right, NBA Bulls Pistons 4th quarter here. Pistons up 5 off the miss. Pistons get it back. Danish Jenkins, the alley-oop to Isaiah Stewart for the jam. Stewart with a career-high 31. Bulls go down big by 15. Sad news tonight from the NHL. Hockey Hall of Famer, goaltender, legend Glenn Hall, Mr. Goalie, has died at the age of 94. He spent 10 of his 18 seasons with the Blackhawks. He won the Stanley Cup with them in 1961. He played an amazing 502 consecutive games. That's a record across 8 seasons. And he never wore a mask. The Blackhawks retired his #1 in 1988. The Hawks held a moment of silence before tonight's game against the Blues. In a statement, Chairman and CEO Danny Wirtz wrote, "We are grateful for his extraordinary contributions to our hockey and to our club, and we will honor his memory today and always." We'll be right back.